All of our ideas that we do, it really stems from there's a problem, let's solve it instead of complain about it. Our Indian father always said, create, don't complain.
Nah.
You know, in a world of like so many complainers and sort of backseat drivers and trolls.
Talk, and no action.
Yeah, for us, it's like, okay, there's a problem, let's solve it.
You guys just have such entrepreneurial mindsets to be going through your life, to be like, here's an opportunity to serve and change the conversation.
I just feel like we always like to solve problems that start with our problems in our own lives, and then we kind of extrapolate. Is it a problem for a lot of people?
It's the three questions, like what sucks in my world? Does it suck for a lot of people? Can we be passionate about this for a really long time?
1 in 3 Americans have 0 friends to confide in. This number has tripled in the last 30 years. And turns out having poor social connections is as harmful to your physical health as being an alcoholic, and twice as harmful as obesity or smoking 15 cigarettes per day. So it's like loneliness is really prevalent amongst entrepreneurs, amongst, 1 in 3 Americans in general. And I think we've become more lonely as we've continue to swipe.
Our guests today, Miki and Radha Agrawal, are celebrated for their ability to disrupt traditional markets with groundbreaking products. They've launched Thinx period panties together. Miki really went on to launch Tushy, as well as Hero Technologies, which we talk about in the podcast. And then Rada built Daybreaker, which is a global morning dance movement. And together they've built multiple companies that have generated tens of millions of dollars in revenue, but also given back to their communities. They truly embody a unique sense of creativity, resilience, and purpose in the world. And I'm so excited for you to dive in. This is a fun one. Oh my gosh, I just love you both so much. What an honor to be able to do your first podcast together here. You are badasses in business, in motherhood, individually, and together you're on a whole other level. Like, wow. And I know that the company that you guys started and sold, Thinx, is more than a product. It's really a conversation about empowering women, changing the conversation around menstruation and women's bodies. I just want to know the story about what inspired Thinx to start with.
Sure. Yeah. So we were defending our 3-legged race championship title at our family barbecue.
It's called Agrapalooza.
Okay.
And it was a 10-year title that we were the reigning champions of.
Yeah.
It's like egg toss and 3-legged race are these two kind of like tentpole events at our annual kind of Agrapalooza.
Yeah, our last name is Agrawal, so Agrapalooza. It was, competitive, everything competitive. So we were tied to each other in a 3-legged race. And so then, of course, we ready, set, go. And then we were running together, tied to each other. In the middle of the race, Rada started her period. And then she started bleeding into my sock. And then we started sprinting through the finish line in first place, obviously. And then we kept going. We kept going up the stairs to our family room bathroom, so she can change out her bathing suit bottoms and wash them out.
Yeah.
And as she was washing out the blood from bathing suit bottoms is when we had the idea. Like, oh my God.
So basically it was like, whoa, wouldn't it be amazing to create a pair of underwear that never leak, that never stain, that supported you on every day of the month. Like the 3-legged race. Then we talked to her older sister, Yuri, who's a surgeon. And she was like, we were like, all of your underwear are stained brown. Like, why? She's like, well, in the middle of an operation, you can't be like, yo, face while you're cut open. Let me just go and change my tampon while you should bleed through. If you're in the middle of a soccer game, you can't be like, ref,
yeah,
can you stop the game? I got to go change my tampon. You
Yeah,
gotta keep
meeting,
going.
on your way
On
to
a
work.
recital.
Totally.
There's so many moments. And so in that moment, actually what was interesting about it was the blood came right off my bathing suit bottom. And it was like, oh, this is an interesting moment of material that the blood can actually come off. So, but it's not breathable. Bathing suit bottoms, you can't wear them as underwear because it's not that your vagina can't breathe.
Yeah.
And
So we spent 4 years
spent
really developing the technology.
Exactly.
You guys just have such entrepreneurial mindsets to be going through your life, to be like, here's an opportunity to serve and change the conversation. Like, that's brilliant.
We're both heavy bleeders, and I just think that we've had always, and we continue to this day, every month it's like, it's my first time. I'm like, oh shit, my period,
Yeah.
And so I just feel like we always like to solve problems that start with our problems in our own lives. And then we kind of extrapolate, is it a problem for a lot of people? And are we passionate about this topic?
Yeah.
Kind of, those are the 3 sort of starting points for any project that we start.
So is it supportive of yourself? Is it support other people?
It's a 3 questions. Like, what
passionate?
sucks in my world? Does it suck for a lot of people? Can we be passionate about this for a really long time?
Amazing.
Yeah.
It looks like you just hit one thing after another. Like, what you do works because you make it work. And I also know there's the behind the scenes of really committing to something, to getting it off the ground. What was a challenge that you guys navigated and grew stronger together because of?
Obviously, we've had multiple businesses across the board, from our restaurants, which are still open for almost 19 years, called Wild in New York City, to building Super Sprouts, which is nutrition education for children, to Thinx, then Tushy, Daybreaker, and now Hero. It just, and of course, like all the
Belong Center,
and
lots
Wow
of different
It's Now,
projects.
and all the projects. It's always been like, I think for each other, like the biggest cheerleaders for each other. It's like, oh, I love that idea. Like, oh my God, 100%, I'm going. Like, it'll be the best thing ever, And I think it's always like a boom spiral of like an upward spiral of energy of like can-do-ness, because we have like each other's wind behind each other in that way.
Yeah, I mean, I think also just when I think of having a friend that's always there for you to support you and to cheerlead your ideas
And challenge you.
We definitely are two type A, matriarchs. And so, I think it's one of those things where we don't mince our words with each other.
Yeah.
So we're able to both be direct in our feedback, and also be the ultimate cheerleaders for one another. It's like her win is my win, and my win is her win. And so there's no sort of like, oh, you have more of a win than I. It's like sort of like no one can tell us apart, so it doesn't even matter. It's just like,
oh my God, Daybreaker changed my life, and I'm like, great. Now I'm like, at this point,
exactly. People are like, Tushy, I have 100 of them in my all my houses, and I'm like,
like,
it's my sister, but I'm an
I'm
investor.
exactly.
Like, we invest in each other's companies. Like, so I'm a lead investor in Hero Technologies, for example.
Yeah.
And I'm like the number one ticket purchaser at Daybreaker.
Oh, wow.
Her and Erwin Valencia.
Yeah.
Love you, Erwin.
Coming after you.
But I think like all of our ideas that we do, it really stems from, there's a problem, let's solve it instead of complain about it. Our Indian father always said, create, don't complain. In a world of like so many complainers and sort of backseat drivers and
like,
trolls.
Talk, and no action.
For us, it's like, okay, there's a problem, let's solve it, and then let's have fun while doing it. Let's make it. And I think for us, our biggest core value is creativity. When I think of how we solve problems, it's not just sort of through spreadsheets or through kind of a binary experience like black and white. It's always like, how can we add creativity? How can we add color? How can we add story to everything we do? And I think that's what's been so fun, and it never feels like work. It always feels like play.
Yeah, you guys do feel like everything you do has to have an element of creativity, of disruption, of like really bringing something innovative, but also the play. Like, I feel that in everything you do. I'm also curious about, because you're female founders, has there anything been unique about being a female founder that you want to speak to that would be helpful for other female founders to hear?
We've had it all, from like investors like saying like, I'll give you money, but I'm in love with you, to like, investors squeezing my cheeks, patting me on the head, to
lawyers holding me by the back of the neck and being like, I'm going to make you my New Year's resolution, or like, boys, let's go outside and talk business.
I know,
girls, you stay
too.
here.
Like, it's like,
a lot of just like,
the old boys club, like style.
We've been around for 20 years. I mean, we've been entrepreneurs for 20 years. And like, I would say that we were, it's just in the last, 1988 that women were allowed to start their own business. Literally. Like I just read this online, that in 1988 was the first time that women could open their own business and set up their own LLC. And just a wild statistic to understand that just in the last, 25 years, have we been able to actually fundraise, build a business, and be autonomous.
Right to vote is only 100
business.
years. I mean, it's crazy.
Yeah.
So we're still on shaky ground. And I think we live in such a deeply, deeply patriarchal conditioned system. And even women, I mean, the number of women vote for Trump. I mean, like, it's just like it's like the idea of a woman leading is just so weird and strange. And there's this power struggle, less and less, but there's still a power struggle that you see in the world between, like, are there enough seats at the table for everyone? The answer is yes. Like, we believe that there's enough seats for everyone at the table, but a lot of people don't. And so we've had to like, to raise money, people, even after selling Thinx, like people are like, oh, you got lucky. So for Tushy, it was like, started over as though I've never raised $1 in my life, or never built anything in my life. It was really interesting. And the Hero was different because, after having 2 companies under the belt and plus Daybreaker, between the two of us, like, it got easier.
Exponential. But you really paved the way.
But it was really
Like no one
intense.
was going to invest in an underwear company about periods, you know, no one is going to invest in sort of anything women's product back. This is back in, 10, 12 years ago. Now there's more women starting businesses than men. There's more women graduating college than men. So there's, the tables and tides are turning.
But also there had been you look at so many female founders who achieved success have had some level of takedown. I'm so grateful that Rada hasn't, but we've, so many of us have gone through that because of the power dynamics that women experience. And I didn't expect to have an experience like that. I was pregnant as well. So it's sort of but then now coming out on the other side of it with the world changing, with things changing as a result of the work that so many of us have done, it's really powerful to now have these stories to tell. It's actually more interesting, creates more texture.
Yeah.
It doesn't, it's oh, everything's great. It's just cool, versus we suck the merit of life. We, the famous quote, it's I want to skid to death's door sideways, not in a well-preserved body, loudly, thoroughly used up, loudly proclaiming, wow, what a life. It's just a used, you've experienced everything, the highs, the lows, everything in between. It's you really juiced life in every way. And that's such a gift.
I feel like you both are a stand for living life fully and going for your dreams and paving new ways. And you're not afraid to back down from something that somebody else hasn't done. And so I just want to thank you for that as a woman, as a friend. I just love and adore both of you and your brilliance. I'm wondering, is there a moment where you realized you guys were different? Because you have so much aliveness and excitement for life, but you're also incredibly powerful and put action behind it.
I think someone said it's what is the ingredients to maybe our careers. And I think for me, we trade on our enthusiasm. I think so many people are just too cool for school or trying to be professional.
Or I hate my job. Me too. It's there's a posturing that happens. And I think that for us, it's we still feel that deep zest for life and enthusiasm, and everything is oh my God, Alyssa, wow, your earrings are incredible. It's every detail of life is just a wow. Yeah.
And I feel that the enthusiasm mixed with, to me, creativity and purpose. When you bring those two together, then magic happens, right? And I think it's if you're just kind of focused on purpose and execution and all of that without the enthusiasm, then life can get pretty tedious or life can get pretty stressful after a while. Yeah. But if you stay and you really continue to find that enthusiasm, that joie de vivre, that I think that both of us, I can continue to inspire within each other. I think that's really, to me, the best ingredients of what makes us continue to be inspired in our lives.
And so I wrote a book called Disruptor, and the book is really looking at the 13 major areas in your life, whether money, friendship, relationship, career, just all the areas in our life that people find this is the way it is. And it's looking at the historical context of where these beliefs came to be, and then really disrupting them one by one and finding agency in our own lives of how to do that. And the very first disruption, the very first common belief is you have to get serious as you grow up. It's as you grow up, get serious, sit down, be quiet. If you want to go to college, and shut up and listen. If you want to get a job, then shut up and listen. Your voice isn't a part of this equation. That is really the way we've been taught so often to get in line, just do your work. But the disruption is no, you can actually live in a childlike state of curiosity, playfulness, and awe, and still be a responsible adult at the same time.
Wow.
You can have both. You can really have both.
Imagine having a fulfilling career doing what you love, working from anywhere in the world, setting your own hours while making good money and a big impact. If that lights you up, then I'm super excited to share with you today's sponsor, the Institute for Coaching Mastery. This is my robust, accredited, year-long certification program for newer seasoned coaches, therapists, leaders, and those just looking to up-level their life in a profound way. We have an amazing community of students from all around the world who have really started their journey to expand with us both personally and professionally. And this experience is designed to give you the 3 things that you need to thrive. So first, you have all of the tools and support you need to move past what's been holding you back so that you can completely change the trajectory of your life. And then you learn how to masterfully and confidently facilitate transformation with your clients or your team, regardless of your niche. If you want to do health, business, relationship, or you just have no idea yet, we hold your hand through that. And then lastly, you'll receive my 6-figure and beyond signature roadmap that's customizable to meet you wherever you are. So whether you want to do high ticket sales, online marketing, or you just want to hit 6 figures without ever needing to go on social media, we've got you covered. And this truly is the most rewarding work in the world. We have new students now who have a wait list of dream clients in under a year. We also have seasoned students who are doing $80,000 months. And this is really about creating lasting transformation from the inside out so that you can share your gifts and serve the world in all the ways that you're called to. And I've seen firsthand the power of what happens when you have the community to collaborate with, but you also have the right tools and resources to really thrive. And so whether you want to do your own personal development, you're wanting to become a coach, or you're just looking for a cutting edge approach to really grow your business, the Institute for Coaching Mastery is for you. You are held every single step of the way. And so if you want to get behind the scenes access to the Institute with 3 proven transformational tools for free to help you create the business and life you love, all you have to do is go to alyssanobriga.com/tools, or you can find us at alyssanobriga.com/apply now to see all the details and apply today. We've been friends for a while, and that perfectly, to me, embodies what you both stand for. This wonder and excitement for life and still being really powerful and making an impact in the world. And I didn't put that together until you just shared that. And I'm also thinking about masculine and feminine ways of being, or being really stuck in our head, that more focused spreadsheet type way, which leads to a lot of burnout.
Right.
And there's importance for the creativity and following the aliveness, which is a better fuel. But without any of the focus in the head in service to the heart, then it can just be watery and doesn't have any structure.
Right.
That's right.
Exactly.
It needs structure, it needs form,
both.
it needs operating.
You guys embody both of that. And I think some of the feminine ways that I see you do that is the aliveness and the creativity, but also the collaboration. You guys are great at collaborating. For people that are either burnt out, because I know we all kind of go through learning about that, what would you say is some of the sweet spot, or what would you help people come back to if you've discovered something yourself, or you're still discovering kind of that sweet spot? There's this quote from a physicist that he says, it's not just do, it's not just be, it's doobie, do.
Yeah, I love that. That's great. And I think you nailed it. I think it's really about embodiment. I think it's about dancing your way through life. I think to me, it's twofold. It's one, get out of your head into our bodies, right? I think we're so cut off at the head and we forget that our bodies actually hold all the wisdom. So how can we actually move into a kind of a more integrated work, live, play environment and escape? But burnout to me happens because, I think sometimes like you're just working with 2 pieces that are missing. One is without clear direction, right? And without kind of the support and community to help you stay kind of in the pocket, right?
I think that's what I was going to say, which was that part about, I think because we're twins, we're really good at asking for help. Excuse me, can you help me? Like, Rada, come help me. Can you? And we're so used to being like, let's go, and it's like, there's always a like team. Like we were in the womb together, like from the womb to the tomb, like we have this saying. And it's like, we've always been in community, always asking for help. A lot of people are too proud to ask for help, ask for support. Literally, when we're anywhere, it's like, excuse me, can you help me with my luggage up top? Can you carry the stroller down the stairs? Can you we have no problems asking for help. And I think when you ask for help, it gives other people purpose. And when we do it in a way that's like full of like excitement, it actually enrolls people in ways, and that's authentic because it is authentic. I think that's the sweet spot is like, yes, there's the awe, the curiosity, the playfulness, there's the doing and being able to get shit done, but it requires a lot of support. It requires a lot of help. And we have across all of my companies, our companies, we've been able to attract the best people ever because of the enthusiasm, because of the excitement, the idea itself, but then also the feeling of like the usefulness that they all feel because they are playing integral, important roles that we're like, wow, like you do this, I'm so inspired. And then they're like, wow, you do this, I'm so inspired. So we have this mutual awe of each other that then creates this upward spiral of like, let's fucking go.
Yeah.
And I think another thing to add to that is like integrating, like I think people burn out because they're heads down, working 100-hour weeks, and there's no integration in their lives, meaning they haven't made time for community. It's sort of like, okay, I'm going to focus on swiping to meet my romantic partner. I'm going to heads down, work 100-hour work week. So focus on work and my professional career. And then community and friendship will come when I have time. Or, like if I have, a moment here and there, right? And so when you flip that and you actually focus on community first and you really prioritize your friends and your community, not only will they first introduce you to love interests and romantic partners, but they will also be there for you in all the moments of struggle in your work and in the work that we do. So I get to sort of both celebrate my wins and my victories. Like when we sold Thinx, we took 50 friends to Colombia on an all expenses paid vacation because they were there with and for us on the journey of building Thinx. And so most entrepreneurs maybe don't have even any friends to celebrate their wins with because they've been dog-eat-dogging or elbowing their way
or
to
just
get to the
working
finish
so
line.
hard that they just isolated themselves.
Right. And so it's so critical to actually flip the paradigm from career and romantic partnership and then friendship second to community first, romantic and a career second, because the community will actually support both of those parts of your life.
This is flipping things upside down for
That's
me,
right.
which I love. And you guys are such beautiful examples with a track record of being like, this shit works.
And it's fun too.
Well, it's
like,
way more fun.
And it's like, the kind of crazy roller coaster of entrepreneurship like lends itself to having high highs, but really low lows too. And I'll say this, like when I went through my crazy low with the whole, takedown, all this stuff like that was experienced, it was so powerful to see the community show up. Like Rada and like 20 friends came with like a boombox, circled me, with music and danced around me during that time. And like for a year, I probably didn't have one day where I didn't have friends coming over, bringing me food, bringing music, bringing song, bringing love, bringing cheer, juice, whatever. And, we battled like, the big bad wolf together, and we got to, heal together, and they got to witness healing happen. They got to witness like, me on my knees and like asking for help and support and love. And they were like here for it.
Yeah.
And I think
so
imagine
good.
going through that experience alone.
Yeah,
when
just
you're
hearing
literally going through this type of an experience where you're running out of money in your company, or you're going through a story that is really difficult, you're going through a challenge at work, and you've given all of yourself to the project, and you have no one to confide in or turn to. And that's why
what's the statistic? Like 40%?
1 in 3 Americans have 0 friends to confide in. This number has tripled in the last 30 years. And turns out having poor social connections is as harmful to your physical health as being an alcoholic, and twice as harmful as obesity or smoking 15 cigarettes per day. So it's like loneliness is really prevalent amongst entrepreneurs, 1 in 3 Americans in general. And I think we've become more lonely as we've continued to swipe post-pandemic. There's so many experiences that we're, the political polarization that we're facing, of course, during these elections. We're in a really important time to come back to each other, to remember the importance of belonging in community. And that's sort of why we've dedicated so much of our life to that effort and community. Yeah.
And I'm still sitting with that, being in the womb together and learning to collaborate, and then how that shows up with your team. And what I'm hearing also, just I want to ground this for myself and for others, is like, it's easy for you to ask for support. And when you get the support, you celebrate. And so people feel purposeful. They feel like they're valued.
Totally. 100%. And we're not perfect. We have bad days too. And we PMS sometimes too.
Yeah.
And we, sometimes there's so much going on that we're like barking orders sometimes. And then, but our team feels so loved, celebrated by us. Like most, like, you know what I mean? Like it's a beautifully textured relationship. But ultimately, it is that cheerleading. It is that like the passion that keeps all of us so motivated.
Yeah. And I just want to highlight that because I was reading I think it was like the Happiness Advantage, or just talking about what you essentially embody, which is celebrating people, seeing people, helping them feel like they belong. They're part of a bigger mission. And then they want to do their best. They're going to show up. You're enrolling them into that vision rather than micromanaging or barking orders like you're saying.
Totally. And I think there's a fine line between just being a cheerleader and holding someone also to their highest and their best. Right. And I think actually people really value and feel more motivated when they have a manager or a team leader who's holding you accountable to sort of pushing you, hey, Alyssa, I know you could do better than that. Like, I know you've got like a deeper,
love.
more magical.
It's like, how creative can you go? Go all the way.
Further. Show me
go
more.
all the way.
Yeah. And I think like it's not just leading from like Paula Abdul on American Idol. Like people like look at Simon Cowell, even if he's kind of an asshole, but it's like, but they respect him because he often gives really specific, pointed advice.
And everyone's like,
that's
he's
helpful,
right.
And he's right. And so I think that mixing the cheerleader with a really sort of like
tough love feedback, loving, you know, and
so that they want to show up with their best self, and there's an excitement for that. You know, one of my friends, David Yaris, who's working for a company right now, he's like, it's the first time he feels excited to work for this company. He owns an agency, and his client is this big functional medicine company, and he's just like, it's the first time I feel challenged. He's like, usually I can just coast my way through by just sort of like sharing presentations or whatever. But like they're pushing back. They're pushing me to do better. They're pushing me. They're motivating me. And I'm like staying up till 3 o'clock in the morning for the first time in like 15 years and like working my ass off because I feel so challenged and excited. And I want to prove myself. And there's something exciting about a manager or a partner or a leader or a company or a coach who's going to hold you to that.
To step into what you're capable of.
Right. A coach, of course.
Exactly. I feel exactly. And I feel that way, like even, you know, as we're building our new company and with Tushy, like our design teams, both teams, they know that like, I don't mince my words when it comes to like creativity. It's like, I think you can go further. Like, I want to create something that's iconic. Is this iconic? It's not iconic, or, you know, and it's like sort of like, you know, will other people copy us? If this is not copyable, then it's not iconic enough. You know? And so they're like, okay, like.
When you said that, I could feel myself being like, I'll just do it instead of being like, I see you can do better. Which is pulling that, calling
I'll just
them.
do it versus
for me, I'm just imagining myself in your shoes, and I would be like, oh, it's not there. I'll just do it. Versus calling them forward into what they're like. Push your creative edge. Let's keep going. I like this, but more of that.
And a way to do it is like, okay, put 3 Pinterest boards together, the most iconic shit you've ever seen in these 3 different directions, and then come back to me. And then it's like, then it crystallizes. Then it's like, okay, and then all of a sudden they surprise themselves and produce something that they didn't think they could.
I also love how specific and clear you were in the directions. I'm like, tell me what to do, Miki.
Yeah. And they need enough direction to then go and be creative, because you need a sandbox to play in. Because if it's just like full on, there's like, where do you start? It's like, give me this sandbox and let me play and create as much as I can inside the sandbox. But everyone, including children, adults, like boundaries. But boundaries are really important.
Yeah, and that's
I've
coaching.
learned that. It was
That's
very
leadership.
hard for us. We're twins. Learning boundaries, wow. But when it comes to feedback, when it comes to, you know, like pushing people to think bigger and think further, you know, requires that's the visionary piece that I think is required. But then giving them enough rope to go and like create the coolest knot and the coolest ribbons and the whatever they want to create with the rope.
And to celebrate it when they do. Yeah.
And when they come back, you're like, that's it.
Yeah.
And I think like if you're going to be a leader, you have to love teaching, right? I really feel that. It's like you as a coach, you as a leader, you love to teach. You know, I love teaching. Miki loves teaching. I love teaching my masterclass on community building. I love teaching the next generation of community builders how to do it, how to design experiences, how to build scalable communities, you know, all across the world. And when I think about just like the passion for teaching, that's in service of the other person. I think so often in this life, in this world that we live in, it's like, what do I get out of it? Me, I. And I just think that the more you can teach them, the more they'll actually not only call themselves forward, but they will become teachers themselves for their next generation. It's like, it really becomes a trickle down.
And also they'll get like a bit more like calloused hands, and that like right now everyone is so like, you know, like fragile, you know? And so it's sort of like, no, when you're giving them like feedback with love and say like, you've got this, I believe in you, like, come on, like you can do better, like that, it's like it's a training ground for life. It's not just like, you're doing great, fired, find someone else.
Yeah.
It's like actually like, let's see what you've got. But like, you got to dig deeper, And I think like so often, like there's a fear of like, does it make me feel like a bad boss? Am I like being too like, you know, overbearing? Am I, you know, like being too critical? Am I intense? And I beat myself up a lot about like, did I come off intense? Like, because sometimes we're moving so quickly of so many things, like, you know, then you're just like, shit, but then they come back and they bring something and you're just like, okay, like, you know, it's always a calibration. It's like a game of calibration when it comes to leadership.
Yeah.
You know, there's so much calibration that happens internally, externally, in relationship. So like this, like,
in the leadership that you do and that you modify shows up in obviously business, but also parenting and partnership and friendship. It just
and for me, like when there's too many things on my to-do list and I'm moving too quickly, it ends up coming out intense, barky. When I like slow down, lower my tone of voice, really, really think. There's this video that my friend showed me about this guy who was, it's just a total funny comedy about this guy who wanted to become a politician. And Nelson Mandela basically was like, you have to slow down your voice and make comments like this. And so it's like that level of like, when it's oh my God, excitement, we can be our
Fast
full
talking,
vivacious, effervescent, vivacious selves. But when it comes to tough feedback, or something like it's for me, like it's the learning of dropping in, slowing down.
I like that
voice.
distinction because I think when we are don't have any space and we're trying to be efficient, it actually isn't efficient because we're doing too quick.
Exactly.
And
so slow it down.
And they have to deal with their feelings being hurt.
takes way longer.
Exactly. And it ends up taking 10 times more
And then I spend time just like calibrating my own self, being like, oh, I was too hard. I was like beating myself up about like, oh, was that too intense or whatever, versus like when it's exciting, yay. Fast. When it's fast, it's fun. It's when it's feedback, slow.
I love this. Like great framework.
That's what we're working on.
Okay, great. Obviously, you guys have done so many things, and since then, you've done so much besides Thinx. I'm curious, Rada, in terms of Daybreaker. You know, tell us a little bit about the creation story, what you're inspired by. I just want to share I'll share, you share about Daybreaker, and then I'll share my love of Daybreaker.
Yay. Yeah. I love you. So for me, Daybreaker, really our foundation is about belonging and belonging through the lens of joy, through the lens of the body. And, you know, I went to Burning Man, and the creation story is I went to Burning Man, and I, at that time, had only been comfortable dancing if I was drunk or if I was, you know, whatever. I just didn't fully know myself. And I remember going to, you know, deep playa, throwing my bike down, and just sober, getting into my body. It was like 4:00 in the morning. And I just remember closing my eyes alone. I didn't know a single person at Burning Man except for my RV, my sister, and 3 friends that I went with. This is 12 years ago, before I started Daybreaker. And I remember just being anonymous in a sea of just like strangers. And so the safety of being able to just practice being in my body. And I remember closing my eyes and just finding myself for the first time, finding my self-expression for the first time, and crying, and just like this, like coming home to my body, because we're so cut off, right? We're in our head, we're not in our bodies. We need to medicate to be in our bodies. And so the idea was like, in that moment, it was this aha of like, oh my gosh, like, how is it that it only can we find ourselves in these faraway festivals? How can we bring this type of return to self into the cities where we live? And so Daybreaker was really born from that kind of a social experiment, this art project where my co-founder, Matt Breimer, and I, you know, got together and we just said, let's try to bring that experience of a sober dance party. Oh, and then actually one thing I missed out was, as I was dancing, my eyes closed, crying, coming with my body, I then blinked my eyes open and the sun was rising. And you know what happens when the sun is rising and you just like seeing, and all of a sudden the desert just lights up. And I just remember being in the most incredible awe and realizing, oh my gosh, like we just don't dance enough in the daytime. We're always dancing at night. And so the idea was like, okay, let's replace all the negatives of nightlife with the positives of day life. So let's make the dance party book, let's call it Daybreaker. We'll break the day with energy, intention, and life, and do it in cities where we live. So we started in New York, and then it grew very quickly to San Francisco and LA and London and Paris and Chicago. And now we're in 45 cities around the world. We're a community of 1 million people. And just people, I think, are just tired of going to bed. I think there's a wellness movement, right, that happened, and people realize like they need sleep.
Yeah.
We want sleep. We want to get, like, sleep is such an important part of mental health.
Yeah.
And so let's still find a place to dance and connect with the light, with the circadian rhythms, drink green juice instead of alcohol, and do it in, where you can get to know yourself, come home to yourself rather than escape yourself, which so much of festival culture can be. Right. And so that's
incredible. For anyone that has not gone to Daybreaker yet, highly recommend. It just reminds you of the magic of being human and alive.
It's the greatest. Like, you can't, like, it's very difficult to go to any other party after going to Daybreaker, because the vibration is so high. Like, every time I leave, the frequency of my body, I'm vibrating at the highest level. It's truly next level.
Well, we're in our 11th season. And so it's wild, when you think of a dance party, they typically come and go. And I think that the reason why the thread of this is here to stay is that, we're only 1 million, it's a lot, but we're only 1 million community members strong. There's 7 billion, 8 billion people on the planet. And it's like, if everyone just woke up and started their day with a dance party in costume with a friend or two, or just outside in the sun with the vitamin D on your face, like, think about how different the world would be. So I think we still have a lot of work to do in this space, and just in terms of proliferating it around the world, but just really excited.
And also say, like, one thing about Daybreaker is that it's like, you rarely see a community of people like so behind something and just like, oh my God, the Daybreaker, it's like the band that's like coming to town, and it creates such a space of like belonging. Like, it's such a place where people can like feel like they can go and know how they're going to feel when they leave.
Yeah.
They're going to feel so good.
Yeah.
And so it's like, why wouldn't you want, that's why it's been 11 years old. That's why it keeps going, because it's not like okay, this club's done because I've done enough cocaine or whatever. And I'm like, kind of like, this place reminds me of like the down that I feel after, versus like whenever I think about Daybreaker, I feel my body's frequency rise. And so why wouldn't you want to go do that for yourself over and over again with people that you meet, fall in love with, build community with? It's just, it's the greatest
fully
thing
expressed
ever.
in the morning.
Like,
wow, what a way to start the day. And you could go on your own, or you can meet people there. It's such an inclusive community. And I know that both of you are phenomenal at building businesses with purpose. And so with some of that, you talked about belonging. Can you share a bit more about the purpose? Because you talk about like inclusion is not just what you put on your policy. It's really creating spaces where you make people feel like they belong. I know that you are a stand for that.
Yeah, I mean, well, we also just launched our nonprofit this year, Belong Center, to end loneliness. But I think really, that's our biggest pandemic of our time, is that we are a lonely population. We, the foundations of our society are pushing us to be in our, alone homes, in our alone cities, in our alone offices, in our work at home alone spaces. And we are less and less sort of meeting in social spaces. And so to me, these third spaces like Daybreaker, where you get to go and you get to just like dress up and meet people, all ages. We've had Jane Goodall come to Daybreaker,
wow.
Studying a new type of human, or in chimps, down to, lots of pregnant women or little toddlers in their carriers. And it's an intergenerational community. And I really believe that, when we silo, the reason why people don't belong is I think we often silo, people based on age groups. You're millennials, you're Gen Zs, you're, Gen X, you're a boomer. It's when you actually mix all the groups and the humans together, when you have, all these generations learning and supporting and modeling and sort of teaching each other in that way. It just makes for just a much more cohesive, rich community experience.
You learn from each other. That's how it was in the beginning.
That's
like,
right.
We've been doing this. We're just going back to our roots.
Yes.
It was and just kind of like off that, it's when I think about the way we built Thinx versus the way we built Tushy, is a very, very stark difference, where Thinx, it was like all, young white women, mostly. while it was obviously a period product, so it was a certain way, but it did create a bit of a siloed experience and expression. Versus when Tushy was built, we made a very, very clear point to make it age diverse, race diverse, gender diverse, like just super, super diverse across all three: race, gender, and age. And the level of cohesiveness, the ideation, the camaraderie, the respect, it's just a different, much more beautiful thing.
Yeah.
And so
when things are homogenous, when things are one way homogenous, like it's hard to feel a sense of belonging because there's going to be competition, there's going to be jealousy.
Right.
If everyone's the same,
threatening, it feels like weird.
That's right. If everyone's the same age, they look the same, they dress the same, then eventually going to be like, someone's going to, her eyelashes are longer than my eyelashes.
Or she got a promotion I didn't, or she does, or she or whatever, whatever. Versus like, there's a much more rich, cohesive, you bring this perspective, that perspective. There's, a wisdom from the age, or there's like new wisdom for the youth. Like, and it's a learning from each other constantly. And, like as we build all the next future things, it's like age, there is something about diversity and inclusion. Like there is actually, there's a reason it works.
Yeah.
And it's not because it's like check the box.
Yeah.
It actually works
Makes
better.
for a more rich, a better creative, collaborative experience.
Yeah, and more belonging.
Yeah, more belonging. And I wrote a book called Belong.
Yeah.
And really, I just think that we know why belonging is so important, but we don't know how. How do we belong? Like, what are the best ways, to belong? And to me, it's like the moments that are the happiest in our lives are when weddings, parties, like birthdays, like all these moments we get to dance, we dress up, we get to celebrate life. And so that sort of, to me, Daybreaker is sort of that wedding, birthday, kind of gathering. We get to dress up and have fun with the sun and tuck you in by 10 p.m.
Yeah. So good.
I love it. And for people that want to learn more about the Belong Center, just to share.
Yeah. So Belong Center, it's a national nonprofit where we launched a program across all 50 states already. And just in the last year alone. And we're a brand new nonprofit, but we've been I think press and media love us because, again, everyone talks about why ending loneliness is important, but no one is actually boots on the ground, building centers, creating the programs, doing the work to actually end loneliness. And so we've launched programs, including Belong Circles. So it's a curriculum-based, facilitator-led Belong Circle, where it's a 75-minute circle where you meet, once a month in whatever city or state that you're in. And in that, 75-minute circle, you're getting to know one another. You're meeting, each other. You're working on different strategies on how to make friends, how to connect with one another. You're bonding with each other. You're doing somatic practices. And by the end of it, you walk out of a Belong Circle and you're like, I don't feel lonely. I feel more connected. I feel more hopeful. I feel like I can actually go out and learn. I know how to make new friends now. I know exactly what to do. I'm going to throw my first dinner party. I'm going to create an event and experience to go and do that in my little community where I live. And so I'm just really excited about this nonprofit because we get to teach people in so many ways. Like, there's not one silver bullet to ending loneliness. There's so many ways that we need to approach this topic. But we have the Circles program. We have a block party challenge that we're launching next year. We're inviting America to revitalize a block party.
I love the block party.
Right?
Yes.
Block party in your neighborhood with a sprinkler and the thing. Get to know your neighbors. So we're building a whole block party challenge next year. We have a Belong bench, these yellow circular benches, where you see just benches that are straight and you're linearly
I sponsored
sitting.
one in Austin.
Mickey's a sponsor of one of these benches. But imagine like when you sit on a bench at a park, you're just sitting straight, looking forward, not looking at each other. So we built these yellow benches that are circular. So you're sort of forced to sit in a circle and see each other, look each other in the eye. And so we're putting these benches all over America now. And then the last thing we're doing, just in our first year kind of temple projects, is a study with UC Berkeley and the Greater Good Science Center on the science of collective dance, collective awe, so that doctors can begin prescribing social dance experiences that are sober to their patients as an antidote for loneliness, depression, isolation, and anxiety. And, I don't know if you know this, but like 75% of depression cases are from, you can guess, loneliness.
Yeah.
Right. So, but we medicate depression and anxiety, but really the way to actually support it or solve it is solving loneliness. loneliness.
Yeah. I mean, it's a core human need to
Exactly,
belong.
to
And
belong.
there's after the pandemic, everything just got there's even more need for what you're doing.
That's right.
So-
And you have to belong to yourself first.
That's
And so
right.
I have this whole compass of belonging, which is sort of a directional map that you can sort of like do for yourself. So whenever you're feeling lonely, you can just sort of ground in and you can say, okay, Alyssa, in this moment I'm feeling out of belonging. Let me just get into my compass. The north is the spiritual realm. The south is the planetary realm. The west is your lineage, where you came from, and the east is your service. Then as soon as you actually sit in those maps and you're touching another realm which is sort of greater than you, and so you feel that relaxed, your brain begins to relax when you're like, there's something greater than me. And then you recognize when you go down in the south and you realize, oh, I'm part of a node of the planet. There isn't a word for separate in indigenous cultures. There isn't a word for lonely in indigenous cultures, because we are all one with the planet. So as soon as you ground into the energetics of the planet, you don't feel lonely. And then when you look behind you and you realize, oh my gosh, I am the product of all this lineage. Behind you, your parents and your 4 grandparents, your 8 great grandparents, your 16 great great grand. Within 10 generations, it's 2,064 people that it took to get to you. And so you all of a sudden realize like you get to carry the legacy of thousands of people in just 10 generations. What a gift. And you feel less alone, right? You feel less unmoored when you have that type of map that you get to go with. And finally, of course, service in the East. What faces forward? It's like as soon as you ground into it's not about me, but how can I actually serve my community? Then, as you know, there's lots of research around this. When you serve your community, you feel so much happier, so much more purposeful, and of course, less lonely.
I love this map. It feels so holistic, and the belonging to yourself,
Yes.
and then also giving back. That's beautiful. Like, I know and love you guys, and I keep diving more into each of you and opening more magical boxes that you carry and codes that you carry. So thank you. And Miki, I also know that you, with all the different companies, like it seems like you're really attracted to the bathroom between Thinx period panties, with Tushy and the bidet,
Hero.
and then Hero with the diapers. Like, I know that you're about disruption and really challenging cultural norms and really bold innovation. I know you stand for that. But talk to us about Hero Technologies, what it is, what's some of the deeper mission behind it.
Yeah, I mean, when you look across the board between Thinx, Tushy, and Hero, there really are about my core mission, my core values, which is to elevate people on the planet.
Yeah.
And ultimately, Thinx was meant to elevate, the shame around women's periods, and through a solution, through our period-proof underwear. But then we've helped divert billions of tampons and plaids outside of landfills, which is huge. They take hundreds of years to decompose. With Tushy, our modern bidet, washes your butt clean after you poop. We've helped save over 10 million trees from getting flushed down the toilet. We have 4 million really happy people who love our product, and it's because it serves them. It makes you feel cleaner, but it also serves the planet. So there's this like purpose, a self-purpose, but then there's this external purpose. And I think Hero, we've created the world's first myco-digestible diaper, which is that can be digested by fungi. So myco-digestible means digested by fungi. So actually harnessing plastic-eating fungi to help solve the global plastic crisis. Which
Brilliant.
is really exciting.
It's insane. It's going to change the world.
The whole concept is when the baby poops into the diaper, the baby poop fertilizes the dormant fungi to grow, eat the diaper, and then when you throw it in the landfill, the goal is for it to eat plastics in landfills too. So as this like double solution is like the mission behind what we're creating. But when I think about just the vein that sort of ties all of it through is this lens of elevating people on the planet. I think with Hero, it's really about the agency that parents can feel for their babies and say like, my baby's poop can literally help, solve this plastic problem. Like, it's now beyond me. I have to take care of my next generation and the planet. It's no longer just me creating a bunch of waste and just not, like worrying about it because I'm going to be dead. But now you have a kid and now you're leaving. What are you leaving behind? What legacy are you leaving behind? So I think one of the reasons why we're, approaching the diaper category first, beyond it being the number 1 household plastic waste item in the household and number 3 waste item in a landfill. Diapers they take 400 years to decompose. A single baby goes through 6,000 diapers in their lifetime. And the very first disposable diaper is still somewhere in a landfill today. And so there's crazy stats. And so to be able to wake up people and say, hey, like we have been in collaboration with nature for billions of years and we've just lost touch. When we've built cities, we've made everything concrete, and like that's why I'm so excited about the Belong Center and turning everything back to this harmony between people, you know, each other and the planet, each other and the planet. I really believe in that too, because you know, we've lost touch with nature, and because of that lost touch, we just think we can just trash it and then just say whatever. But because we now have our lineage forward-looking service, like really thinking about what's coming next, especially as a new parent, I think that's the right people to go after first, because, you know, they're just going to care more.
P.S. Miki just won, her team just won yesterday, first place at a competition.
Most innovative companies of the year at the Hygienics conference, which is like
150 companies went up for it, and they came first place.
Wow.
It's epic.
It is so innovative and brilliant. And I mean, there's just a win-win-win. You know, the parents want to make a difference.
That's right.
It's for the earth, like with the poop and the mushrooms being the fertilizer. Like it's brilliant.
It's genius.
And what's really, really exciting and promising is that the industry that's been like the non-woven space that makes the diapers, the pads, the adult diapers, all the products that are plastic and ending up in landfills, these materials companies, these fabrics companies, these fiber technology, the fibers companies who make the fibers to make this non-woven products are very interested in working with us. So they're not seeing us as a threat. They're seeing us as a collaborator, as an ally, because they understand their end of life challenges that they're creating, that you know, that the world is noticing too, and it's making them feel like bad guys, and they feel it too. And so for them to say, wow, like we can still continue to make the products that we're making and also have an end of life solution for it, which is plastic eating fungi. Like we had the most number of people at our booth. Like it was like a science fair project. I felt so like we won the science fair. It was like so cute. But it was just also to be received by these like multi-generational, like incumbent textile people, like in the world of non-wovens. It was like a huge nod of like
Procter and Gamble,
validation.
Kimberly Clark, they were all at their booth, just like
learning
and trying to understand, like, oh, you know, how can we collaborate? How can we partner on it? It's
And
really
I think it's smart that you focused on diapers first, not only because it's the biggest issue, but also just to have focus and traction, and then you can open it up to other plastics.
To all the other, 100%.
But also like poop is the best fertilizer. It's mother's milk. It's like pure.
Yeah.
You know?
Versus like right now we're using cow poop, pig poop, we're using all the poop of like all the other animals, and yet baby poop, we're just throwing it, wrapping in plastic and throwing the trash and not harnessing this potent, pure mother's breast milk led like fertilizer. So now we can harness billions of pounds of these to help solve the global plastic crisis. Why not?
You just elevated, because nobody wanted to use the cloth, right?
Right.
So you just elevated what was, you disrupted another industry, as you guys do.
It's really exciting. I mean, to me, what's really cool, it's like it's a sanitation company disguised as a consumer product.
It's a biotech company disguised, yes.
And environmentally completely so helpful for the long term of our health of our environment.
Yeah. It's cool.
So building businesses, I know, like just like having a baby, it transforms you. Building companies transforms you. How has growing all these incredible communities and projects and companies transformed you as a human? Because every time I'm hearing the iteration of some of the learnings on the outside, but internally, what are some of the things that you're like just changed by, different now?
I mean, I think becoming moms was like the biggest change ever for us, to like slow down, remember what matters, think about like what we really care about, like actually like doubling down on community, doubling down on the planet, doubling down on what matters for ourselves, family time. You know, I think that's been such a huge gift for us as well.
Yeah, and I think, I mean, to further kind of go into what's changed inside of me, you know, I actually feel like, you know, when you build a business as a CEO, your job is to criticize, is to be critical. It's to like look at what's wrong and not what's right? Your job is to look at all the little mistakes and not celebrate as much the magic and the juice, right? So I think that for me, the biggest learning that I've had is to really let that critical side of, or my CEO kind of like looking for what's wrong to make small improvements, let that stay at the office so that when I come home, I can really be in just pure celebration, of my family, of my children, of my friends, without that sort of, trained critical eye that can often be judgmental or can often be self-critical in so many ways. And so to me, that's been a big work in progress.
That's a great awareness.
Of just like, that we've been trained to be killer. We're trained to look at what's wrong, and so we bring that to our relationships, to our love interests. Like we look at everything that's wrong with our partners rather than all the magic that's going well with them, because that's how we've been. Obviously that's how we've gotten to where we are. Yeah. And so I think it's really about training ourselves to let that go at home so that we can just be in pure support, love, and joy for our families and our relationships at home.
I love that. And my word for 2024 is soft power. And, I think for me, I think for both of us, that is the greatest challenge, is that like when we're in our soft, dewy, feminine selves, like it feels so good and things flow, creativity flows. And it's not discounting the strong, powerful, structured, masculine side of ourselves too. We have feminine, masculine in all of us. But I'm really challenging myself to find a way to find my breath, to be able to stay in my soft power, even at work. Because I feel like there's this like, kind of like when it comes to like money or like business or having people rely on me, count on me, need me, there is a bit of a like a tightening that happens to like want to perform and want to get it right and not mess up. But when I'm in my soft power and when I'm breathing and I'm gentle, I'm actually performing better. I'm actually a better leader. I'm actually more creative. I actually get shit done even more smoother. It's more lyrical versus like structured and tight. And so for me, it's like the retuning myself to relax when it comes to like financial conversations, when it comes to the harder conversations that historically have made me tighten up, and to just remember to like, okay, I can feel my, myself getting activated, just breathe slower and take a second. And, there's even my new friend is like, shared with me, it's like, I can sense that, it's your breath changes, your breathing pattern changes when you're in different versions of you. And I wonder like what you can do to like keep your breath slow, obviously when you're excited, it's great. But like when you're, it's like, how do you maintain a slow breath? Because then that's when your soft power can be consistent, is when you're just tuning into
without
your breath.
Losing the energy,
but that's great. Like, my coach Lauren, she's just like, keep all that. It's just when you're in the triggered state, all the negative is when you have to look at all the parts of yourselves, which is really.
I mean, I think that's the inner work that then shows a different, more feminine way of leading, so that it feels more in balance instead of just looking at the patriarchy, what we've had as models, so that we really do tune into our intuition, have the downloads, know that the efficient conversations aren't really that efficient because of the repair and all of that. So
right, the efficient by speeding is not efficient.
No,
it's actually slow is fast.
If you want to go faster, slow down.
Yeah. And then you have to pick your battles. I mean, like we just got off a 40-city tour, to get out the vote, and it was just like every day we were in a new city producing events for 1,000 people in different cities, new markets we've never been to. And it was the most grueling 3 months of my career, I really just say. And we just ended it, obviously, on the election day. And when you're going so fast and you're also sleepless and you're also just like, we talked about this yesterday, actually, just this idea of like, you just have to be okay with 80% being correct.
Yeah,
and I think like the best kind of leadership is just for you to really let go of the reins and to really regain your own sort of autonomy in your own life, is to not expect 100% of exactly your vision. That if you get to 80% of your vision, that's great. We're happy. We're stoked, because that gives us freedom. That gives us time to breathe ourselves. We don't have to overextend when we do, we're stressed compressed and more contracted.
like-
So 80% is better than 100%. And
They say take like treat your business like your second child. It's like your first child. You're like, is it breathing? Is it everybody's like, okay, sleep time. It's second child. You're like, just you fall down, just rub it out.
A little bit more mature.
Yeah. You're just like
They're gonna be okay.
just say you're fine. Like, you're fine. You know, like
Yeah.
And so it's like this level of like relaxed. You know a little bit more. Obviously, experience helps, but like you're not tight. You're just relaxed.
And I also love that you're both introspective. You're doing the work. You're working with coaches or therapists and really shifting on the inside so that it can externally pave a new way of leadership.
Yeah,
absolutely. I mean, there's a book, Becoming Nobody by Ram Dass, that I really love because I think, again, in a high octane, like, look at me, society, I need to be somebody. I need to leave a mark. I need to, I want to be the cover of this mag. I want to be, it's like, everybody is like in this like wanting to become somebody, and the somebodyness makes your ego show up in different ways. And just remembering that we're all going to die, that we all came from the same place, the planet, in a mother's womb. I don't know. Like that particular book has been just so impactful for me in this moment, from that place of just the exhale, the soft power that comes from like not needing to be somebody, but to be nobody, to just be in service of.
And I think that's the key, is that being in service. When we're less focused on ourselves, we're more focused on how we can give, not what we can get.
That's
100%.
right.
And then there's a softening, and actually it feels way more abundant to come from that place anyway. It's like, oh, I didn't actually need all of that. I just wanted to give. And in that giving, that service, it feels rewarding and purposeful.
100%.
That's right.
Yeah. Okay. I know there's so much more I could dive into, but just in closing, I would love to hear, Rada, what is one thing that you admire most about Miki, and how has she embodied that in her entrepreneurial journey?
I mean, she's the most creative person I know, and I know it's going to just cry. This morning, she showed me a video of a campaign that she's working on for Hero, just launching the company, and just like, it's a Kickstarter campaign that you're sharing with the world. And it's just like, it's epic, it's magic, it's creative, it's exciting. And it's like everything that this woman touches is filled with excitement and service and just one of oneness. And and I'm just, I don't know, there's nobody I admire more in the world than this. Yeah.
I was going to say the same thing. But like, you're my biggest inspiration. And that's it. Like watching the Daybreaker 10-year video was like the pride and like the joy and like the wow and the creativity and like the inspiration that I feel every time. Like watching everything she did for this 40 city tour was like the coolest, like important, beautiful servant leader work that was so fun and full of joy, and like the amount of joy you've brought into the world is just next level. And it's like, like thank God that we get to take baths together all the time, and like be twins, like be besties, and like really be real with each other, and always rupture, repair, and come back to each other.
From the womb to the tomb is our motto as twins. And it's really cool to be around someone that inspires me so much. And whenever I get off a call with her after she's like sharing about a new idea, I have 10 more ideas for Daybreaker. And I have 10 more ideas for Belong Center. I have 10 more ideas for my projects. So whenever we talk, it's so generative. Yeah, it's so exciting. And
I think that's honestly like one of the biggest like secrets of how we've been able to achieve, I think, is because of the level of enthusiasm I receive from my sister. Like, or, it's like every time I create something, I'm like, I send it to her, like, what do you think? And she like gives me critical feedback, or vice versa. I'm like, well, what do you, and it's like, it's just generative. Yeah. And I think that's like, generative keeps you young, it keeps you vibrant, keeps you excited. It's like, it feels honest, it feels authentic, it feels real. And so I think because we keep each other honest, that authenticity just spreads out into what we're building, what we're creating, and it only creates more like thank you for the authenticity, then we can be more authentic, and then it just creates this beautiful ripple effect as well, because if she's acting like too cool for school, I'm like, you're being too cool for school.
Yeah,
and
vice versa. So
we get to call each other out and just keep each other honest. And that's like also the authenticity. It's like, that's the juice. And I feel like she holds that, you know, we hold that for each other.
yeah.
Beautiful.
And like a ground of respect no matter what.
Yeah.
And I just love your love. And just by being around you, I get lit up and just fall more in love with you guys. And you do that in the community. You do that in our community. Your love just expands and includes everybody else in it. And I'm listening to you guys and thinking of like, how can I create that with my team? I want more of that with my team. And so thank you for being an example. Thank you for being a model. Thank you for being my friends. I love you deeply.
love you.
You inspire me. And thank you for being women, paving the way, making it easier for other female founders. And I know people are going to want to stay connected. Where do they stay connected with what you guys are up to?
They can find me at love.rod on Instagram, or at Daybreaker, DYBRKR, and at Belong Center. So these are 3 Instagram channels, and then daybreaker.com to find us on a dance floor somewhere.
Yes, go to Daybreaker.
It's the greatest website of all time. Yeah. I'm not kidding. It is.
And radhaagrawal.com, which is all of my projects that I'm working on.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then for me, I would go to hellotushy.com for, you know, to wash your butt. You're welcome. God's work. And
I can't poop anywhere else now.
don't
honestly.
go to tushy.com. It's a very graphic anal porn site. Go to hellotushy.com. And then it's at Miki Agrawal on Instagram, and at Hero Technologies, which is the newest project, HIRO Technologies, and MikiAgrawal.com for all my projects as well.
Yeah. And we'll put it all in the show notes below.
Yeah.
I love you guys.
I love
so
you.
grateful.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for doing this work that changes the world, starting with yourself. It truly does make a difference. And if you're finding value in this podcast, a cost-free way to support us is by leaving an up to 5-star review. It does mean the world to us. And as a thank you gift, we're going to send you one of the most powerful tools that you will ever discover. You're going to get behind the scenes access showing you how to live into your full potential without letting fear hold you back from stepping into your dreams. Just head over to Apple Podcast or Spotify and leave a review now. You can take a screenshot before hitting submit, and then go to alyssanobriga.com/podcast to upload it. And make sure to have your automatic downloads turned on wherever you listen so you don't miss any of the upcoming episodes. I have so much magic I can't wait to share with you. And you can find all this information in the show notes below. But lastly, if you're on Instagram, I love connecting and hearing from you. So come on over and say hello. I'm at Alyssa Nobriga. Thank you again for being here. I cannot wait to share more with you.